Hi everyone, Adarsh here. So today we're gonna see how we can create a Rust Easy application and securing Rust Easy framework based REST based application, and then we can secure that application by using Spring Security. So let's get into the code and see how it looks like. So in this application, credentials are stored in the MySQL database, and we're gonna connect to MySQL database. So for that we need to log into the MySQL, and we need to create a schema here. ESpark, I have created a schema here, and then let's jump into the code. We have pom.xml, we have a group ID, artifact ID, version, packaging, name, URL, organization. Packaging is a war file, license tag here, developer tag, repositories, properties. We have project name, source code, encoding, JDK version, version, Spring Security version, Hibernate version, Hibernate validator, and MySQL connector, JUnit versions, SLF4J, log4j, and logback, as well as REST Easy version. We are using a REST Easy here. So this is a REST Easy based configuration basically. Maven dependency configuration, we have REST Easy checks are REST Easy REST Easy JSON to provider, REST Easy servlet initializer, and then we have a servlet API dependency here. Then we have a Spring Core dependency, Spring Context, Spring Web. Spring Web we have I guess Spring Web we have a twice, so I can remove one dependency. Then we have a Spring Security configuration. We have a Spring Security Core, Spring Security Web, Spring Security Config, Spring Security Tag Lib, and then we have a Spring ORM configuration, and then Spring JDBC and Spring transaction. Then we have a Hibernate Core, MySQL connector, CG lib, and Spring Test, JUnit, SLF4J, logback, and this is a JSON API for Google. So in the application we have a main. Inside main we have a help, where we have a help.txt where all the URLs are mentioned. Then we have images, certain images, like you can see certain images there. We have inside the package, we have inside Java we have package pom.adarsh.spring REST Easy resources web app. So in the resources we have configuration, database script is there, property files we have, and logback file. In the resources in the web app we have static, where we have CSS and JS. Inside CSS we have bootstrap CSS, our own custom CSS. In JS we have bootstrap JS, jQuery.js, and then we have inside web INF we have web.xml and index.jsp. So in the web.xml, what we have defined here, context param, the application Spring configuration file path we have specified, and then we have a context loader listener. We have a Spring Security filter here, and this is a REST Easy parameter, where the REST Easy web services are in. So resources, and then this is a where anything comes with the REST, it need to be mapped with that. And then we have a REST Easy bootstrap, and then it says this is a HTTP servlet dispatcher for REST Easy, basically a controller for that, and says any request come with /rest and all, it gonna go into that. So this is how the web.xml looks like. Then we have index.jsp, where we have imported a bootstrap CSS, jQuery JS, and bootstrap min, and we are just showing some message here. That's it. And in the application properties we have mentioned a database driver name, URL, username, password, and Hibernate related configuration like dialect, show, SQL, data, HBM to DDL, and like this. And in database we have a database script for creating a database. We have application context where we are just doing the component scan and loading a property file and importing a security.xml data source and persistence.xml. So starting with data source, we have a database initializer configuration where we have passed the data source and script name. So what it does, whenever the context load, it will execute this script. And we have a data source configuration, so database driver, URL, username, password comes from the property file. We have a persistence related configuration. So here we have imported a MySQL application properties. We have configured a transaction manager here. We have mentioned that wherever we have entity classes for package to scan, and then we have a session factory related configuration, local session factory, data source, Hibernate package to scan. Here's inside this package we have all the entity classes. We have a Hibernate dilate, Hibernate properties, and then we have a transaction manager configuration here. And then we have a Spring security XML where we have enabled the context annotation configuration. We have global method security. We have enabled pre-post access denied, access decision manager and all. We have mentioned that any URL come among them will not be intercepted for security. Then anything comes with /rest : star gonna intercepted by the Spring security. Then auto configuration we have made false, expressions we have mentioned true, authentication manager, rest entry point, and then create session always. We have disabled CSRF token here. We have mentioned that anything come with CSS and JS should be given permission, rest. So we have defined our own custom filter here. So basically what this filter does, the username password authentication filter here. So inside this one we are just passing some of the values like URL, username, password, parameter which comes from the form. So basically we don't have form here, everything comes the post body, request body. So this is the username and password which it need to look for in the parameter. And authentication manager, rest, authentication failure handler and all. Authentication failure and all we have configured here. And we have mentioned post only, so this will execute for post method only, this configuration. So basically what it does, it will take out the values from the request and then give into the security Spring security environment for authentication. Anything comes with this, at least have any of these roles. Then logout will be rest logout, delete cookies, invalidate session, and then success handler we have login success handler basically. So this is how the login success handler looks like. So what it does, it just print out some proper messages on successful login. And we have let's go one by one. Then we have access denied handler. So in case of any authentication failure or insufficient privileges, these message will be shown to the client. So we have an entry point. So what basically this entry point which we have mentioned here, authentication entry point. So rest authentication entry point, it will set as unauthorized, so that it's a kind of dummy gatekeeper which will look all the requests with the suspicion and set that it is unauthorized, so that Spring security will act on those and start validating those requests. Then we have a authentication filter, success handler, and then we have authentication failure. we have a logout handler, then we have access manager. So basically what it does, for all the roles permissions, it should not be prefixed with anything, so we can have plain role. We have exception translation filter. So what it does, basically whatever the exceptions comes, it gonna redirect to the REST service authentication entry point. Then we have authentication manager, where we have our own in-memory as well as user detail service configuration. So let's get into the code, where we have employee as well as a user bean. So employee is having ID, name, and employee name is just for printing data. User bean is just to take the data and do the authentication and all. From the persistence package, we have entities, role entity and user entity, where we have a relation between role and user, one-to-one relation. We have a repository, role repository and user repository. So where we are injecting a session factory, and then we are doing a load operation. Here also we are injecting a session factory, and we are doing a load operation, like by using query. We are just loading. This is a login, is the name of the user. Then we have REST web service. Basically this is to get the list of the users. We have a security, where we have access denied handler, authentication entry point. So access denied handler is implementing access denied handler, and REST authentication entry point implements entry point, override comments method. You have REST authentication failure, implement authentication failure handler, REST authentication success handler, implement extend simple URL authentication handler. Then we have a logout handler, implements logout success handler. User detail service implements user detail service. So in this we have injected a user DEO, and we are saying getting a login, load user by name, and then we are, by using this user DEO, we are passing the username and getting the domain object, and then we are converting the domain object into the string security user, and getting all the permissions, wrapping up those things, and then we are sending back. Then we have username authentication filter, which extends for username password authentication filter. We have services like employee service, which is just a static role service, which in turn use role DEO, user service, which in turn use user DEO. We have a simple string REST application context. What we have done, we have implemented a context aware. So context will be injected, and this we have we are getting the bean from by using this context, passing a class name, and we are getting a bean, so that we can use those things inside the non-Spring Bean classes. So here you can see that what we have done inside this REST easy controller. We have just saying that get bean user service dot class. We are getting user service, and by that we are getting a list of user and setting into the response entity, and then building a response and sending back with the status 200. So let's start this application and see how it looks like. Install. JT:run. So here you can see that it will create automatically all the tables and all row with the informations. See here, mapping, and this is a user table. Here we have Adarsh user and all. Application started on port number 8080, so let's hit the port number 8080. We can see the home page here, and now what we can do, we can just create a postman, and here we have help.txt. So this is a URL with the post request. Okay, it should be post request form data, this thing, and then send a request. Authentication is not successful because we are not sending a right URL. Paste, post request, send. I am not sure. So here you can see that session ID is created and then login successful. We're gonna just duplicate this code and we're gonna hit the service URL, copy, paste, and we're gonna copy the JSON and then we're gonna make a request. So here is what we can see the data, and we have a logout URL, rest, paste. You can see, so here you can see ESpark logout successful. So if we are having a wrong username, we're gonna get not successful, bad credentials and all. So that's how we can create a Spring security with REST easy. I'm gonna save this code to my GitHub repository where all other applications are there. Adarsh Kumar Singh 83 /Spring_security. I hope this will help you to understand how we can use REST easy with Spring security. So I'll come up with something new and interesting. Take care. Till then, take care.